Greetings to the best family on YouTube. Well, in our opinion at least, our wonderful EDC family. I'm your host, Prophet, and with me as always is the Professor. Thank you so much for joining us for yet another EDC video. You'll notice that we have not one, but two camera angles for you folks today, courtesy of the Professor. Now, we'll talk a little bit about that another time, but today we are going to break down a knife that we have for you on an elemental level. No, seriously, that's not a joke. Let me introduce you to the Three Rivers Manufacturing Atom. This knife is named after, well, the atom. An atom is the basic building block of matter, and everything and everyone with mass, or even anything or everyone that takes up space, technically, is made of atoms. Now, Three Rivers Manufacturing has other elemental names to their wonderful product line, including subatomic names such as their neutron, which is obviously the atom's smaller little brother or sister. Again, we don't discern on this channel. To us here at Carrier Barry, we absolutely love chemistry. So picking up just one of these was really not gonna cut it, huh? Get it? Cut it? We needed a couple of these to be put on our table. Our table of elements, as one would say, right? Table of elements. God. Guys, if my voice sounds different today, I'm actually fighting summer sickness, if whatever you call it, so forgive me. Seriously though, we do own more than one TRM product here in the compound, and you can even dress these guys up to your liking thanks to some ingenuity over at Three Rivers Manufacturing, which we will refer to henceforth as TRM for short. So just so you know, when we say TRM, what we mean is Three Rivers Manufacturing. Okay? Sound good. Now, our wonderful supporters in EDC family, as you may well know, we like to give a little portal of escape for those of you who don't like to get all of the nitty-gritty history on the maker, the designer, etc., etc. You may take what we call the Professor's Portal to the actual Carry or Bury review. That way, you don't have to go through all the muck if you don't want to. And you can see if this knife can get its electrons excited enough to work its way into our pockets, or if this little guy splits, all right, and becomes too dangerous to have in our pockets, and it should be buried in our casket, out on our property, as you know we do here. So thus, that would lock it safely away from anyone trying to get their hands on the dangers that it may represent. Only one way to find out. Now, if you take the portal, we'll see you shortly. If you're staying to learn, we look forward to this journey of knowledge together. Now, without further ado, Professor is going to put the portal information. Professor's Portal. Wow. I'd say the Professor loves to make a scene, doesn't he? Okay. With all of that out of the way, let's see if we can break down the matter of facts on TRM and their atom. Okay, so in the intro, we learned together what the name atom means, okay? But for those of you who have stuck around for some knowledge, and because as you all know, knowledge is king, right? Knowledge is king. And as we continue into our first segment after our introduction and after Professor's Portal, we will be giving you a little help from now on. Professor will have icons marking where we are until our Carrier Barry game begins. Since we call this first segment Knowledge is King, Professor has made a little brain with a crown, which you'll see somewhere in the video. It'll stay up there knowing that you're in this first segment, and that will give you some help knowing where you are, okay? Okay, so let me hit you with some knowledge here. Let's begin with a simple question, shall we? Who is TRM? Well, we talked about that, right? Three Rivers Manufacturing is their name, and they're responsible for the knife that you see here on our table, lovingly named the Atom. They have other designs that follow this type of elemental branding. There's the neutron, the atom's little brother or sister. Again, we don't discriminate here at Carrier Barry. So TRM, they're also located right here in the US. They are a US-based company. Their manufacturing is here, their sales divisions are here. Heck, they're about as US as you can get. And as Nick Shabazz will lovingly say, sometimes it's nice rooting for your home team. It's not always a huge matter where the product or the knife was made, but knowing that the little guy was made right here on our turf kind of makes you feel proud. Who owns or who started TRM? Okay, well, Helpburn Titanium Incorporated is TRM's parent company. They began selling supplies to knife makers, custom knife makers and companies around 1997. And they did all this in the Helpburn's kitchen over in Massachusetts. Now, CNC Machining Center number 1 was purchased in 1999. That was purchased for them to machine knife scales for knife factories all around the world. Fast forward 25 years later, okay, from these super modest beginnings, and Helpburn has grown into a full knife manufacturing facility. They have lots of different machinery, which now includes 2 flow water jets, a burger flat grinder, or burger flat grinders plural. I'm not sure how many they have. They also have an Okamoto surface grinder in their shop, a Makino wire EDM. I believe they have 2 Swiss turning machines and right over 24 CNC vertical machining centers. That helps them with manufacturing and helps TRM and help them make their own private label parts. They also have a new prototype shop that has 2 other CNCs earmarked for TRM R&D, which is pretty darn cool. They've grown quite a bit, right? Since being in someone's kitchen to having all these crazy expensive machines and different areas where they can do different things, it's pretty neat. They were first incorporated in 2014 as a company separated from Helpburn Titanium. And then in 2018, TRM became one of Helpburn's favorite customers with the release of their Neutron in the summer of 2018. Now, the Atom came a year later, okay? TRM was primed for an explosion, right? The Helpburns have, okay, a seriously proven history of nurturing a new company. So here comes TRM. Their knives sometimes can be a challenge to purchase, which we'll talk about later, but they do continue to improve their processes, which help them thus increase their production. Now, unfortunately, TRM knives make it into the wild, the demand increases, right? The more of them make it into the world. They have a reputation for listening to their customers, which we'll talk about later, but a little snip on that is 2 of their product knives, the Viator and the Thunderbird, were actually named after 2 of their customers' feedback, right? That's pretty cool. The Nerd Blade shape actually evolved as well from customer feedback, and a lot of the scale material options that have been recommendations from people on social media. So they do consider customer service to be an extension of their products. Pretty darn cool. Now, TRM also doesn't answer the phone with recorded messages. They answer the phone live. Their call's important to you. We'll speak about that later as well. I actually can attest that they do have live folks answer the phone. Now, all TRM knives are 100% manufactured and assembled here in the good old USA with US materials and US suppliers, which they proudly etch USA on all of their products. And I don't know if we'll be able to get this in the shot here with the lighting at 5100K, but it is going to be located right here on the knife. I don't know if Professor can get this at all. Again, I'm not sure if that's going to make it into the final cut, but all TRM knives are 100% manufactured and assembled in the USA. So normally this is where we would speak about the maker of the knife. However, all my research shows that this little guy right here was an in-house design, which, as we just heard, may have also included some feedback from their loyal customers. That's super nice to see. It's always good for us to see a company work hard on a design, their own design, and then they make the needed changes, further enhancing said design, like our Atom here. It's had a couple changes over the years, which again, we'll talk about when we get there a little bit later. Well, I sure hope we were able to teach you something. Moving on to our next segment, all about them stats, son, which is, of course, Professor's favorite part of the video. We call this section Professor's Particulars, or Professor's Particulars. Our model here, like I said, is the Atom. It's a TRM line, And it is the OG model. And I'll be happy to share with you what I do know about it. However, let's take a quick peek at an Atom that you would purchase today if you were to get one right now. Now, they're currently sold out on their website. You can actually go to trmmfg.com and take a peek and see if you can get in their next lineup for them. But as of right now, they are sold out. But let's take a peek at what you would get again if you kept checking and rechecking the website to grab one of these essential elemental knives. So when the knife is open, okay, it is going to be 8 3/16 inches. The close length is going to be 4 11/16 inches. Now the thickness is going to be 390 thou. Okay, it is going to come in at a staggering, just kidding, 3 ounces, which is really cool. And again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. The blade length is 3.5 inches. However, you do lose a little bit of the cutting surface with the little choil here on the knife, located right there on the blade. But you're still getting over 3.2 inches roughly of usable length for cutting. The really big thing on these guys is the thickness comes in at 90 thou. It is a very thin blade stock that TRM uses. The knife I'm holding here uses CPM 20CV. The new knives, which we're talking about now, uses MagnaCut. For those of you who don't know, MagnaCut is a super steel, one of the most popular steels on the market right now, and it was invented by Dr. Laren Thomas of KnifeSteelNerds.com. Dr. Thomas can tell you anything you need to know about CPM 20CV, about MagnaCut, about really anything, to be honest with you. He's going to be your go-to for learning about steels. Now, we always have that in the description, so let's get back to talking a little bit about if you were to purchase an Atom right now. Well, if you were to purchase an Atom right now, you would actually have a little bit of an area where you can customize it a little bit. You can get a tumbling process is going to be deburring, the polishing the ceramic balls, which help with the detent. It always is going to come with a full flat grind, and they do come to a very sharp edge. This has just been used for testing, so it doesn't look like that right now, but I can assure you they're very sharp. So they also have over 30 options that you can choose from now, which would include carbon fiber, G10, even G11 now, G-Carta, micarta, Techwood. I'm telling you guys, they've got it all. They also have really neat designs. They have contoured against not so contoured handles. There's a lot of things you can get from them. All the clips on the Atom are going to be 6AL4V titanium, and they are set up for deep pocket right-hand tip-up carry. So as you can see in the camera here, if you were to put this in your pocket, that is about all that you would see. I'll get the other angle here for you folks, right around there. So special features, you got custom hardware, stainless steel pivot and pivot screws. Again, you've got another piece of titanium, which is going to be the titanium thud stubs and barrel spacers on the knives. Again, it comes in only at 3 ounces. The scales are always replaceable on these guys, which is another really neat thing of them. And they are, again, 100% made in the US with US suppliers. The only option that isn't US made is their fat carbon. They do post on their website that does come from Lithuania. Now, what I can tell, the big difference between the new Atom and the Atom that I have by reading about it is the steel, right? Whereas the Atoms that I have handled and owned have a very good, very well done CPM 20CV, and they do a great job on these blades. I'm telling you guys, they really do. There's nobody that in my experience, when you get these from TRM, they're very sharp. They're ready to go. The steel is heat treated well. It's put to a very good Rockwell hardness. There's really nothing wrong with it at all. So we talked a little bit about the MagnaCut, right? The new ones have that. We talked a little bit about who invented that and where you can go get some information on that. Or if you have any other knife steel questions, just go to Dr. Laren Thomas at KnifeSteelNerds.com. We call him Doc Steel here, right? No, I'm just kidding. But he is a real doctor, and steel is his thing. So, well, maybe he will join the X-Men one day. Or maybe he's already in the X-Men, we just don't know about it. Well, feel free to check him out. Enough about that. As usual, profit digresses. Now, let's talk a little bit about the newer revised parts of the Atom is going to be the thumb stud. As the old version is these kind of, oh, great, I can't do it on camera, can I? The old version has this little cutout for these little O-rings here. So you can put different color O-rings on both sides of the thumb stud. The new thumb studs, if I'm looking at them right online, they're actually coned and they actually have jimping on the thumb stud, which is pretty cool. That's another difference that we see. All their new Atoms start at $230 USD and can go up depending on the options that you choose, such as their brand new micarta lizard skin contoured handles. I'm not joking. They really have it. I absolutely love the way those look, and I'll most likely be purchasing them. Well, enough about that. It's now time for one of my favorite parts of the video, because we're talking about size, right? And which guy doesn't like talking about size? Let's talk about size comparisons. Now, the Atom, as we said, has a very thin blade stock. It's a very slicey blade, so picking out some knives at the compound that would give you an idea of its size. If you have not held one, I picked out a bug out. Now the bug out that we have here on the compound is custom, but it does a really good job still of doing our comparisons, right? So I'm just going to move the knives around a little bit. We'll talk a little bit about that stuff as we do so. Now we're also getting into a part in our channel where we have hit our 100 subscriber goal and we have a giveaway. Now guys, we film our content in advance, so the winner of the giveaway will be shown at the end of this video. So stick around, stay tuned. We are going to be announcing the winners of our giveaway, and I'm super excited. You've all been so patient, and our little channel is growing even faster, and I can't tell you folks how much we appreciate that. Okay, so we've got different locking mechanisms on these two, right? As you can see, just give you a quick side-by-side closed here. I mean, even thinness here, I know you can't see it, but my fingernail, I know I don't have fingernails. You guys keep telling me in the comments, I get it. I do a lot of stuff for a living. So I actually can move and click into the Benchmade. And this is a slim knife, and it's no match for the slimness of the Atom. Next knife that we're going to do a little bit of comparison to is going to be this guy. This is another knife we're going to have on the channel soon. It's a ProTech knife, and we'll actually be reviewing this one next after the Atom. And as you can see, this knife has a secret. It is both automatic by a button that is hidden here in the wood grain, or you can use it regularly, right? Ooh, that is one dirty knife. Again, guys, every time we have a knife on the channel, it's been put through our process for B-roll, and we actually carry these things. So you'll always have to forgive me if you see a knife with my ugly fingerprints all over it, but we try to clean them up a little bit. I don't know if I always do a great job, but there are these two next to each other. Thickness is going to be a big deal, both in blade stock. Obviously, the ProTech knife here actually goes down to quite a thin edge at the tip, but that actually is one thing that having two different camera angles is a little bit different, I'm going to be honest with you. All right, and now another knife that I couldn't help but have here for you guys is the Spyderco PM3, because who doesn't own a PM3 in the community? I know our PM3 is not a particularly fancy one, because with my bigger hands I prefer the PM2, but that's okay, right? We need one for size comparisons, and you got one. And look at that, they're both blue. Now they both have that very true blade, just totally used for cutting. The Spyderco is no exception. You can really get an idea how thin this Atom is. Another knife that we are going to put on the table is just another little thin slicey one just for size comparisons. This is another Ray Laconico design here. I actually forget the maker of this. You'll have to forgive me. I will put that in the description. And man, this one's coming up as well. And again, it's a really tiny slicer knife, just to kind of show you, even with some of the very small knives here, what you're getting with this Atom. It's still thinner. It really is. You can see the thickness differences. And you get a lot more knife. It's thinner. The weight is absolutely crazy in favor here. And again, we'll talk about all that in a little. Okay, I'm gonna put all of them next to each other real quick for you guys. Try to get both camera angles involved here. There we go. Take a good look at the differences here. And let's see here. I don't know how possible it is going to be to always give the other camera angle its due love, but you know, we're playing around, so might as well give it a quick checkaroo, right? All right, let's put these little guys away and let us talk a little bit about our game. Oops, wrong knife to put away. Geez, Prophet. I don't know, guys. I tell you what, I know being sick is always something a little rough on me. Okay, well, that was our comparison stuff there, guys. Welcome back to our EDC family that use our channel's Professor's Portal, thus skipping the learning and stat sections. So we'll always have some sort of talking or teaching in the description. So for those of you who don't want to stay, you're always going to be able to get some information from us. We're not going to keep that from any of you. However, for those of you that have stayed, I and Professor both appreciate the heck out of you. I guess you're as big a nerds as we are regarding our EDC love. Now, for that, we thank you. But now, don't think that because you skipped that we don't appreciate you. Time is money, right? We get it. All right, guys, enough jabber. Let's get into the game that you all came for. Well, unless you just fell on us due to the algorithm, which I highly doubt because we're really not that big yet, which we pray for and we thank you and bless you all for sticking around. Now we will review the positives and negatives of this knife. So you can go to our video if you'd like, labeled 001, which will explain how our game works. Quick little review, we always start with the positives. If there are 4 positives, we stop and we move on to the negatives. If there are 4 negatives, then we have a tiebreaker, folks. So how we work this is the positives are denoted as pockets with the word needs stitched into them. The negatives are represented by nails, as in nails in the coffin, right? So again, if a knife or a gear or an item review doesn't have a strong need, well, we bury it in the backyard, which you've seen once or twice here on the channel, and our fun little toy coffins, but we really do bury them, which I absolutely think is cool. Anyways, oh, did you hear that? That's right, folks. That there is a pocket noise, which is Professor's cue to letting me know that I'm getting carried away. So what's our number 1 pocket or need or positive on the Atom? Well, it's carryability. What does carryability mean, Prophet? Well, for one, the knife is carryable, right? It's super light. Let's get her cleaned up here with our little carrier berry hanky here. But it's light. So you have about a 3.5-inch blade. Now, that's awesome. It's super thin and slicey. But carrying it is a joy because it only weighs 3 ounces. It darn near disappears in the pocket, which I love. It has a fantastic pocket clip in my opinion. It's full titanium. It is springy as they come, and as you can hear, it locks. I mean, it really does. I actually wear this with gym shorts. Honestly, basketball shorts, pants, doesn't really matter. The knife is extremely carryable. As you can see, it darn near disappears in the pocket. And for that, I absolutely adore it. So number 1, definitely carryability. So yeah, there you heard it. That's number 2. Number 2, we're going to have to talk a little bit about blade or blade stock. Oh, folks, this little guy comes in at 900 thousandths of an inch. In fact, when I use my micrometer, I've even found smaller areas along the spine here, but we won't really get into that. Their website states 900 thou. That's what we're going to talk about. And it actually goes down to the very tip here, and you probably can't see this, but it's a sweet 25 thou at the very tip there. I mean, this little guy is as slicey and dicey as it comes. Can't really go wrong with that. All right, let's talk a little bit about the steel. So you can't talk blade stock without blade steel, and you can't talk blade stock without blade steel without how they do the blade heat treatment. That's one shot for anyone over 21 for every time I said the word blade there. So this is one of the OG versions of the knife, which we've established. We have CPM 20CV as the blade steel, but it is not only a fantastic blade steel, but it's done extremely well. I would assume they're using Cairo heat treatment. I'm not positive on that, but I will say that they do a darn good job. These blades are fantastic, and I have no qualms with them. Now, the new ones have my absolute favorite blade steel, MagnaCut. And so you're getting something even better with some of the new atoms that they're making right now. So you really can't go wrong. So blade stock is definitely going to be number 2. Number 3, so this is where I'm going to probably think that Professor's going to go back and forward with some of our B-roll shots, and that's going to be customability. So this is where this knife gets really fun. So you younger folks may say drip, whatever you say, you know, dressing up, drip, drippy, drippity-doo, drip, drippy. These knives are as drippy as they get. You literally can fix them up however you want. There is so many different options for the Atom, both on TRM's website, on secondary sites. There's so many things that you can do, and TRM even goes a step further, and they have some partners or friends of theirs that have other things that you can do to these knives directly on their website. You can locate them. We'll have that in here as well in the B-roll. But you're able to do whatever you want to these, and you really can make it your own. So not only do you get a nice carryable knife with a fantastic blade stock that goes down to an extremely thin behind the edge, you can also customize it to the way you want. Really can't go wrong. That's got to be number 3. Professor, do we have a 4? Oh, we have a 4. Folks, you hear that? Doesn't matter which one I open. Yeah, that's the Action. The knife is as reliable as it comes. Every time that I throw down a little bit of force, the inertia propels this thin little blade forward. Now, sometimes on these lighter blades, you don't get that crazy fly out action, but the way that they've situated their thumb stud, the way that they have the ergonomics, the way that they have the geometry of the knife, everything works out really well, and it literally thrusts open. Now, you're not gonna get a Grimsmo drop shut knife. However, if you shake her a bit and your knife is used, it will shut, as you can see. I mean, for those of you that can get seizures, I probably should have given you a seizure warning on all that shaking. But you know, either way, these guys are drop shutty enough for what they are. You can't really go wrong. You've got a lot of nice action with this knife. Nice detent, super nice sound. I love the way that steel sounds against titanium regardless. So when you got your nice titanium skeletonized frame in there, it really does a fantastic job. Folks, we got to 4 pretty darn quickly there. And that's okay, right? Sometimes joy comes quickly, and there's nothing wrong with that. So as you've heard, there's a lot of great qualities on this little guy. But are there any negatives? That's the question, right? Are there any negatives? Did you hear that? That, my friends, is a nail. And that is a negative on this channel. Nails denote the burial aspect here. And what do we have for our first nail? Well, I'll tell you in just a second. I do want to note that Professor's got the recap here for you for our needs or our positives. And those were number 1, carryability. Okay? Number 2, blade, baby, blade, right? Number 3, drip, drip, drip customability. And number 4, action. So those were our first 4 positives or needs. And as I just said, I know you heard the nail. You probably see it on the screen already right now, and I'm probably getting a little bit too much into, I don't know what I normally do, just rambling on and on. So what was that first nail? Availability. Okay, I know that you're all going to be scorching me for this, but let's talk about it. So TRM is working super hard to getting more of these produced all the time. I get it. But in the meantime, the availability is a real thing. It's tough. Trying to purchase one of these, you've got to either win their lottery, really try to get on their website when it launches and hope that it doesn't crash, hope that you don't have issues. Honestly, it can be difficult. And then, God forbid, you want a different one of their products that isn't going to be the one coming out right now. For instance, let's say they have another Atom coming out here in the next month or so, right? That's great, but what if you want the Neutron or the Neutron 2.0, or you want the Thunderbird or anything else in their product line? You are going to have to wait. So availability is definitely a thing. And yes, I get it. TRM's working on it. Kudos to them. But in the meantime, we're an honest channel. Availability is an issue. Oh, yeah, that's another nail right there. And we're going to talk about that nail. This channel here has coined the new slogan that we're throwing out there, and rightfully so: pirates. Knife pirates, gear pirates, EDC pirates. Don't really care what you want to call them. Secondhand market pirates, but pirating nonetheless. And you heard me, pirates. Arr, matey, right? And guess what? On this channel, we say no to knife pirates. We say no to knife pirates. We say no to gear pirates. We say no to EDC pirates. We do not like to get involved. With that being said, it's a thing, right? It's an issue. And anybody knows that you can go and get an Atom for around 230 bucks, depending on, what kind of extra options you want to put on it. But let's just say you get a plain Jane. That's 230. You go to eBay, you go to a secondhand knife place, you're going to get ribbed. Now, are there some really great places you can go and meet with honest sellers of these guys? Absolutely. But they go really fast. So availability comes into, even on the good secondhand market, availability is an issue. So pirating is a huge issue. Overpaying for something is never fun. It really puts a bad taste in people's mouths in the EDC community. It gives you less money for that drip. It's a thing. So pirating is going to be number 2 of our nails. That's right, number 3. This one is something that, again, you might kind of get at me. We're going to call it drip dough. What does that mean? Well, in order to customize your knife, which a lot of us like to do, it's going to take some money. And we know that, right? With almost anything. However, it's going to need some bank, depending on what you want your knife to look like. So, for instance, you get your 230 plain Jane Atom. You don't get anything else on it, but you're like, it's 2024. I really would like some nice contoured scales. And I'd like not only contoured scales, but I'd really like some scales that are made of titanium. What do you think that's going to run you? Well, I shop for my Spydercos on, various websites, and I'm looking at maybe 120 bucks for some really nice pair of titanium handles or scales. Not here. You're looking at 230 bucks for a set of titanium contoured scales for your knife. I'm not the best at math, professor will tell you that, but that doubles the price right there, and that's without anything else. That's not with getting any extra hardware or any extra lovely things that you can get for these guys. So that's something to think about. And even getting as you can see, I don't even have a contoured option on the table, but even getting into any contoured options that TRM has, it's not cheap. You're looking at 100 bucks usually plus for something that's nice and decent from them. One of my things with the drip is if it was super fantastical, no worries, I'd say, you know what, it is what it is. But I don't know if we can pick this up on this camera here. I'm going to see here. And I think there's some B-roll that Professor will have. But you can see I've got some pretty heavy damage on this guy. So you're probably thinking, what are you, like driving nails into wood? Is that what you're doing, Prophet? No. Guys, I dropped this knife maybe once, maybe twice. It's really hard to say. But it took out a huge gouge of the way that this carbon fiber is made. There's not a lot of way that they've tried to support this side. And I'm not sure what can be done. But
having huge chunks of your carbon fiber literally coming out of your knife all the time, it's kind of annoying. You know, especially when you're paying $100 for a set of nice drip. It's like you buy a nice pair of Nikes or whatever, and well, you get a little scuff on your scuff. That's not a big deal. You can usually wipe it off. But let's just say a chunk of that darn shoe came out on you, and every time you put it in your pocket, little chunks fall off of that. It's kind of degrading on an atomic scale, right? So that's going to be our third issue. Not only is it expensive to customize, which again, it's great, you can, but it's expensive. And I'm not quite sold on how great of materials you're getting with that money. So with that being said, let's see if we have a fourth nail. Yep, that's it. Now I know I keep saying that I'm going to get torched in the comments, but this one's going to kind of probably get me big time torched. And we're going to talk a little bit about it because, again, we're not going to shy away from something. We're an honest channel. Back in 2020, after I purchased this particular knife here, I'm sure you can all see there's a difference in the tips on these guys, right? Yeah, absolutely. So what happened, Prophet? Well, I could sit here and lie to you guys and say, oh, it was just an accident, you know, whatever. No, I dropped the knife. I didn't drop it on crazy concrete or anything like that, but I dropped it on my tile floor and it must have hit just right. The tip, gone. Completely gone on this little guy. It right away, I was really disappointed, but I figured, you know what? It happens. I've read that TRM has amazing customer service, so I called. And someone did answer. It didn't go to some voicemail, which was cool. But the person that I spoke to on the phone was not helpful. They were kind of rude and basically told me that I'm on my own. Now, since it was 2020, folks, I can't give you a verbatim of what was said or absolutely quote whoever answered the phone there. But what I will say is it left me with a really bad taste in my mouth. I haven't bought another TRM product since, which is why we're using the OGs. That doesn't mean that these are, you know, knives that are terrible. It just means I had a bad experience, and I'm sure we all have. That young lady could have had a bad day, but I offered to pay to send it in to have them see if they could just fix it for me. And I was told no, that there was nothing that they could tell that it was dropped or I used it for prying or anything like that. And I told her, I said, listen, I dropped it. I'm being honest with you right now. It wasn't anything that you guys did. I don't think there was any issue with the knife. I dropped it. Can I send it to you folks and have one of your experts try to make it look as presentable as possible? I was told no, you cannot send it to us. And we do not work with or warranty or even sell you any aftermarket fixing, which I found pretty sad because I'll be honest with you guys, I've had this exact Spyderco. I sent it into Spyderco and I dropped this knife as well. And guess what? I put a huge gouge in the front here. They sharpened it up for me. They charged me, I think, $15 to sharpen it up. I asked them if they could take out all of the gunk, all of the Loctite and the screws. They did that for me. And, you know, it cost me a couple bucks, but it came back. I was happy. It is what it is. I had a great customer service experience. I've had this with several knife companies where I've had an issue. Microtech's another one. I've done something stupid with my knife, dropped it, whatever, lost a screw, and I've been treated really well. I have a story on here about the Jared Oser knife. Jared went out of his way, had me send him the knife. I mean, no questions asked. He didn't even ask for any money. I felt bad and I sent it to him. My point is when you got a customer that is trying to be truthful and honest and say, hey, I screwed up. I did something stupid with my knife. Is there anything you can do to help me? Basically telling them to go pound sand in a nice way. I mean, it wasn't like she was mean or rude to me or anything like that, but she wasn't helpful. Didn't have anything I can do. Just basically said I was SOL in a nicer way than, you know, she could have. She could have been really mean or rude. But I mean, to me, it left a very bad taste in my mouth, and I have not purchased a TRM knife since. But that's me, right? I'm one of those old school guys, to each their own. Now, again, whenever we're going through these nails and needs, whenever we go through the positive negatives, we're going to be honest. We're not going to sugarcoat anything. I'm not saying that everyone out there has bad customer service experiences with TRM. I highly doubt that with how successful they are, but I did. And I took my little guy here and I put it on a kin onion sharpener, and I carefully and calmly kept it cool with water while I shaped the tip out to a really weird tip here. It works. I've got it, down to a nice little edge here. I mean, I could have done better, I'm sure. I'm not Jared Oser. I'm not, a knife guy like that. But, we do have it taken care of. I'm not Mr. Jim Skelton. But I fixed it the best I could. It works. I still carry the knife. I use the knife. I love the knife. It just was annoying that I had to take care of that myself when I was willing to pay the company to take care of it for me. That's all. I just wanted the experts to take care of it, and I was not allowed to let that happen. Okay, so that was our fourth nail. I'm not sure how much of that's going to make it in the final cut, but I do hope that you all realize that that was my story. That doesn't necessarily mean you'll have that type of experience with TRM. It was just something I am putting down as a negative. Now, that brings us to a little bit of a tie again. We kind of have that a lot on this channel, don't we, Professor? So let's clean these guys up real quick here. And let's talk a little bit about the tiebreaker. Okay, so we've got 4 positives, we've got 4 negatives, we've got 4 needs, we've got 4 nails. All right, so that's 4 and 4. So we do our best to find honest things for reviews, as we talked about many times. We really do use and carry these knives. We buy them ourselves. They're not something that's given to us. Everything that we do to test these to the best of our ability. Now, let's quickly go over what we were looking at again. So if you remember, we had for the needs, carryability, okay? We had the blade, baby, yeah. We had the customability, and we had the great and reliable action. The nails were availability. The aftermarket pirates, which we say no to, knife pirates. The pricing of the customizations, and possibly quality. Again, experience is all we can give you, and our bad experience with customer service. Now, with that being said, again, that brings us a tie. So now that we're all caught up, I'd say we'll check in with Professor and we'll see what the tiebreaker might be. But I kind of think I just heard it. Did I? Is that what it was? As we were transitioning, I think I heard it. Did you folks? Let's have them do it again. All right, guys, that there is a need. That means that we will be proudly carrying this knife. This little atom slicer will stay right here on the compound, right here on the table, and we will use it pretty often, actually, believe it or not. These little guys make it in my pocket quite a bit. So what was the tiebreaker, Professor? I think that's pretty simple. We were going to go with USA made, as they do stamp proudly on their knives here, because again, you root for your home team, as Nick Shabazz states. That's what we were going to choose for number 5, but I'm going to zig a little bit. Since we had the unfortunate experience with customer service, and that went into our negative categories, we do want to say that there is another aspect of TRM that we find so positive that we're going to make it our 5th pocket today, our 5th need. And that is T.R.M. Pretty cool, huh? Wait, Profit. What? That's just the company, right? TRM is just Three Rivers Manufacturing, isn't it? Not in this instance, guys. So T, tycoons, R, really, M, matter. Tycoons really matter. Yep, I said it. That there is TRM's Facebook group, and it's all about the customers, the fans. They're all rubbing elbows with Mrs. Halpern on the website. They're sharing videos. They're selling their knives, usually at really fair pricing. They are buying knives from each other. They're trading knives with each other. They are a community that gets together, and honestly, they do a fantastic job. I'm sure you just heard my little chaos, being a little upset that I'm still filming. So truly, I'd be a liar if I said that the TRM community wasn't the most fantastic thing about them. We're all about EDC family. In the beginning of every video, we say hello to our wonderful EDC family, right? And we care about our EDC family. We care that people take pride and people treat each other with honor. People treat each other with respect in regards to everyday carry. There's a lot of things going on out in the world that are trying to take away our rights to utilize carrying, whether it be firearms or knives or whatever. And we really need to stick together as a community and show that we're responsible and that we're good people. And Tycoons Really Matter does that in a superb way. What's really fantastic is no matter what happened with my lone customer service negative experience with TRM, I can't stop myself from going back to TRM's Tycoons Really Matter Facebook site. And I don't even like Facebook, but I absolutely love going on there. I love seeing the new scales that are offered. I love seeing the people that are being so kind to each other. Whether you own one of their product line or many of their product line, people are always on there. There's always a good positive impact. There's always good fun family positivity. I absolutely have to say that Mrs. Halpern does a wonderful job navigating and narrating the site and monitoring it. And it's something that is truly a pleasure to be a part of. And I sure hope that you Tycoon Really Matter group members don't really get on me too much. Again, we're an honest review channel. These are my experiences. There's nothing we're trying to do to say these are bad. In fact, at the end of the day, we had far more than 5 positives for these guys. I really had to dig deep for the negatives. These are fantastic USA-made products. The Halpern family, from all that I know about them, is wonderful and fantastic. They care about their customers. They care about their fans. They really, truly do. They are implementing new ways to get these guys in our pockets faster so the knife pirates don't get them. Kudos to all of them. Kudos to everyone who is a part of Tycoons Really Matter. Kudos to everyone who supports USA-made companies like TRM. There is no doubt that I know why these made so many people's Knife of the Years back when they were done. Honestly, they would have hit ours as well. So with that being said, we are all finished with that. So now it's time for our giveaways, guys. What you're going to see now is we are going to kind of segue away from the table here, and we're going to move to our little spinning roulette of winners. So over the last few weeks, you folks have been commenting, sharing, liking, and subscribing. And now it's time to see who the winners will be. So we will see you there in just a moment. Now, folks, as you probably have noticed on the table, we have our little Carry or Berry hankies, or the little microfiber towels here. We will be also giving some runner-ups, some of these as well, sending them out to you folks. We're going to be putting them in just basic posted envelopes to save a little bit on postage. But if you'd like one of these, please comment in the section and we'd be happy to talk with you and get your address and get these out to as many people as who want one. This is what we've all been waiting for. Thank you so much for helping us get to our first 100 subscribers. We are so excited and we feel so blessed to have each and every one of you, each and every week, giving us the love and the support you've been giving us. We can't tell you how much we appreciate this. As you can see, we absolutely love what we do. We put a lot of heart into it. We really do care, and we want you to know that it's super important for us that you enjoy each and every week what we can bring to not only the table, but a little bit of fun, a little bit of chatting, things like that. So without further ado, let's see who is going to be the winner of the knife. All right, folks, our 100 subscriber giveaway. Let's see what we got. We have a winner. Always.sharp420. We will be getting in touch with you and you can email us back. Congratulations! You won a Spyderco knife. All right, let's see what we got next. Oh, wonderful. For our flashlight from Olight, we have Soft Kitty Sophia. Thank you so much, Soft Kitty Sophia. We'll be emailing you. I hope you enjoy lighting up your life.
All right, this is for one of our hankies. Oh, again, always sharp 420. Well, congratulations, you won a hanky as well. That is fantastic. This is for a bonus flashlight. Dancing Blonde 33. Congratulations. We'll be reaching out to you in the comments. Go ahead and private message us and we'll get this over to you. You can light up your life as well. For another hanky. We have a winner. Knife Lover 5. Knife Lover 5 will be reaching out to you in the comments. Congratulations. And for our last hanky that we are giving away. You gotta be kidding me. Soft Kitty Sophia, you are the proud winner of a flashlight and a hanky. Folks, we had 406 total entries, and all I have to say is,
Congratulations again to our winners. You can follow us at Carrier Barry on most social media platforms. There's our little card there for you. Please give us a follow, a like, a laugh, whatever, a share. We'd appreciate all of it. Okay, and next week, folks, at Carrier Barry, we are going to be reviewing none other than the ProTech Harkins. And we will have this one here for you. And I got to be honest, this little guy is going to have a surprise for you. So, with that being said, we will see you next week. Until next time, EDC family, keep those blades sharp, keep those flashlights charged, and keep those Band-Aids close. Remember, you are the best tool in your daily EDC loadout. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.